to go over this content because it'll help you as you write your last essay and also your research paper. This will really help you develop your critical thinking skills and more importantly, fill the required pages of the research paper, which often students don't do because they don't do any analysis of textual. So let's get to it. So what is textual evidence? It's nothing more than content from or words from secondary credible sources. In other words, it's what you use from the research that you conduct. And let's use the research paper as your example. And there are technically 3 types of evidence, but you could argue that there's a third one. The first one is direct quotations, and those are sentences that are used directly from the source. So quotes directly borrowed from a journal, a magazine, newspaper, etc. You have summaries, and those are condensed versions of the quotations, the direct quotations written in your own words. Paraphrase is slightly longer than a summary. In the sense that it includes a little bit more detail compared to the summary. It's also written in your own words, and you could make an argument that there's a third type of evidence in which you combine either a direct quotation with a summary or a paraphrase and a direct quotation. But whatever you use, make sure that you remember to cite all types, because if you don't, you are committing plagiarism, which you want to avoid. The types of textual evidence, just some examples. Here's a direct quotation. Just a quotation borrowed directly. In this case, I'm using examples from the Tortilla Curtain. So quotation directly borrowed from the book. Remember to use quotation marks where anything that you borrow directly, and the parenthetical citation, the page number, and the period goes at the end. We don't include the author's name here because we already included it in the introduction of the quotation here. Summary is this example. This is a summary of the quotation. Notice it's a lot shorter, more brief. Same, the citation needs to be in parentheses with the period at the end. A paraphrase is a little bit longer, a little bit more detailed than the summary. The citation is still needed. And finally, we have a combination of the 3 in which some of the quotation includes what was written in the student's own words, and then there is also some direct quotation that was borrowed directly from the author's words. Again, the emphasis is to remember to cite to avoid committing plagiarism. A well-balanced paragraph needs to have these 4 elements: thesis, a topic sentence, and evidence, and of course, analysis. One sentence is the thesis statement, and that's one sentence that answers the prompt. Topic sentence is one sentence, one of at least 3 points of support to the thesis statement. In other words, is one of 3 reasons as to why you answered the prompt in the thesis statement the way that you did. And then finally, your evidence needs to be brief. In other words, cite only 1 to 2 lines of type. And what I mean by that is don't use quotations just to fill space, or use only the evidence or the quotations that addresses your thesis or topic sentence closely. And as far as the analysis, you need to write at least 3 sentences of analysis to ensure that you develop the paragraph well enough and that you express your point in terms of the analysis. Moving on to what is analysis? Analysis is nothing more than your commentary, your interpretation, or explanation of the evidence. It's written in your own words, and it answers any one of these questions, or it can answer multiple questions. But it answers, what does it say? How does it say it? What does it reveal? Why is it meaningful? Why did I use it in my paper? In other words, how does it prove the point that I'm trying to make, or how does it support the thesis? As long as you answer in 3 sentences any one of these, or a couple, or a few of these questions in your analysis, you will do a thorough job in terms of writing. Here is what a typical paragraph looks like for more students. We have your thesis statement here that the 3 residents of Arroyo Blanco community were guarding themselves against all intruders, coyotes, Mexicans, and other people of color. And this paragraph is going to talk specifically about our second point of support, how the Mexicans who were seen as a threat to the Arroyo Blanco community needed to be kept out of the neighborhood. We use a piece of a direct quotation from the novel itself, properly cited, and then there is a sentence of analysis. This is what's written in the green, and that's usually what students do. This shows what's going on in the neighborhood. If I were to see that, I don't know what's going on in the neighborhood, right? Because the student just wrote, this is what's going on in the neighborhood. My question will be like, so tell me exactly what is going on in the neighborhood. And that's where the analysis comes in. A more well-developed paragraph would look like this. It's the same paragraph up until the great part, which is the original sentence that typical students write in terms of analysis. But everything else that's in the green, it's a total of 6 sentences. It's an explanation of exactly what's going on in the neighborhood, and it's an analysis of the quotation. So in this case, we go beyond, this shows what's going on in the neighborhood. Then we really explain it. While America may not know that the gate is being built, the fact that the gate is being built with steel and stone columns shows the goal of the Arroyo Blanco. The analysis continues to explain this quote and how it is being used to support the thesis statement, specifically as it relates to Mexicans being kept out of the neighborhood. So this is what you need to do when you write your analysis. Explain the heck out of the quote, why you used it, and how it, and again, if you write at least 3 sentences, that's considered an adequate job. The more you write, of course, the better it is. So you can see here, like I said, it's 6 sentences. So you can explain a quote thoroughly. There really is no limit, but at least 3 sentences would be okay. To put it more simply, you are trying to prove a certain point, which is your thesis statement, and you do so by conducting credible evidence to find, or you conduct research to find evidence that supports your thesis, and you use your evidence to expand or support the thesis. This is what your analysis, if you want to think, that is it. I hope this is helpful. Thanks.